Hello friends, this video on electric charges and fields part 30 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Please make sure that you have watched all the videos till part 29 before going ahead with part 30. Gauss law is a very important law in electrostatics. Just like Coulomb's law, like how Coulomb's law play a very important role when we talk about electric field, when we talk about electric force. Similarly, Gauss law plays a crucial role while talking about electric flux. So Gauss law basically makes our calculations to evaluate electric field easier. So let us first see what is Gauss law. Gauss law states that the total electric flux over a closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by the surface. It says that if you have a closed surface, let it be of any shape, doesn't matter. So any closed surface, if you want to calculate the total electric flux over that surface, that is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by the surface. Now when I say total charge enclosed by the surface, it includes any charge located anywhere inside the surface. For example, I have a positive charge Q inside this sphere. So this sphere being a closed surface, according to Gauss law, the total electric flux over this sphere will be equal to integration of E dot ds over the closed surface, right? So according to Gauss law, this electric flux is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught, because Q is the charge enclosed by the sphere. Now if instead of Q there were Q1, Q2, Q3, so this would have become equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 divided by epsilon naught. So it doesn't matter where are these individual charges located inside the surface. Any charge located inside the surface contributes to this. So let us prove Gauss law. Let us suppose we have a sphere which is a closed surface. So we will calculate the flux through this sphere. Let us say there is a positive charge plus Q inside the sphere. So we consider, now before considering anything, let us first denote the direction of electric field. What would be the direction of electric field? We studied in the slide referring to electric field that the electric field will point radially outwards for a positive charge, because electric field lines always originate at the positive charge. So this would be the direction of electric field. Now let us suppose I consider a small element ds. We consider a small element ds. Let us say this is ds, right? So what would be the normal to this area element? The normal to this area element will also be along this direction, right? So let us calculate the flux phi, which is denoted by E dot ds, right? So from definition of electric field, we know that E is equal to kq by r square. K is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, q divided by r square. If this distance is r, that is distance of the element ds is r from the source charge. So this is q by r square into r cap. R cap denotes the direction of the electric field. Now we substitute this value of electric field in the expression for phi. So therefore phi is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square r cap dot ds. Right? Now what r dot ds is r ds cos theta. So what is the theta between the two? R cap and ds are along the same direction. So theta is equal to 0 degree here. Therefore we can write it as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q divided by r square integration of ds over the entire surface S. So what is ds? This is a sphere. So what is the surface area of the sphere? Surface area of a sphere is nothing but 4 pi r square, right? So we can write it as 4 pi r square. So this 4 pi and 4 pi will get cancelled, r square will get cancelled. So we are left with q divided by epsilon naught. Therefore, we found that phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. So what is Q? Q is nothing but the total charge enclosed by this sphere. Therefore, we saw that the Gauss law proves out to be correct. So for any closed surface, no matter whatever the shape may be, the total flux over the surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by the surface. It is not necessary that the total charge has to be a single entity. It can be multiple charges, but they all should be located inside the surface. Now let us try to look at the situation the other way round. Let us suppose we have a closed surface such that there is no charge inside the surface. So according to Gauss law, the total flux through this surface should be equal to 0 because there are no charge enclosed. So how do we prove this? Let us suppose this is a closed surface. Now since there are no charges are enclosed by this closed surface, so let us suppose it is the direction of electric field is as shown in the figure. So here at all the points on the surface of the sphere, the direction of electric field will remain the same. Now let us suppose if I consider a particular element, say ds, at this point. So if I consider an element ds at this point, the normal vector will be along this direction. Now if I consider a ds along at this point, the normal vector will be along this direction. So what will happen is that all the elements by symmetry, the contribution of electric flux by this element will get cancelled by the other element. So similar thing will take place for all of them, and as a result the total flux or the net flux through the closed surface will be 0. So therefore we can see that we can logically also prove the truth of Gauss's law, right? Now we will see how can we derive Coulomb's law from Gauss law. See, all these laws in electrostatics are some way or the other related to each other. So we will see how do we derive Coulomb's law from Gauss law. So we will start our derivation from Gauss law. According to Gauss law, if we have a closed surface and the charge enclosed by the closed surface is plus Q, in that case, Gauss law states that the total flux through the surface is equal to integration of E dot ds over the closed surface is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. Now we already know that E dot ds is nothing but E ds cos theta is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. Now in this case, at every point, the direction of electric field and the direction of the area vector will be the same. That is, theta will be equal to 0 degree at all the points on the surface of the sphere. Therefore, cos 0 is equal to 1. So this we can write it as E integration of ds is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So what is E? Now this ds can be written as 4 pi r square, because 4 pi r square is the surface area of the sphere. So this is 4 pi r square is equal to Q by epsilon naught, or we can write E is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square. Now what is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught? That is nothing but Q divided by r square. Right? Now let us suppose that Q naught is a test charge at a distance r from Q. So Q is the source charge here, because Q is the one which is generating the electric field. Now let us suppose that I have a test charge, that is an imaginary small charge at a distance r from Q. So let us suppose I have Q naught, which is a test charge at distance r from Q. So what will be the force experienced, or what will be the force experienced by this Q naught, or what would be the force of interaction? That will be equal to Q naught into the electric field E. So this Q naught into electric field E will be substituted by this value. So this is equal to K Q naught divided by r square. So that is Coulomb's law. So we reach at this expression that F is equal to K into Q naught into Q divided by R square. So this is the statement of Coulomb's law. So here we saw that we started with Gauss's law and we ended up at Coulomb's law. That means all the laws are consistent with each other and they are all true for all these situations in electrostatics. So we discussed Gauss's law. Now we will see how is Gauss's law helpful to us. I mean, why do we need to study Gauss's law? Because we saw that we can find out the electric field of any object at any point. So how is Gauss's law helpful? So what do we conclude about Gauss's law? This law is true for any closed surface, irrespective of their shape. The second thing is, this law facilitates easier calculation of electrostatic field when the system has some symmetry. So that is what I'll tell you. Why are we studying Gauss's law? We don't have that much of free time to study any law given by any scientist, right? So obviously this law must be having some advantages because of which we are studying about it. So I told you long back when I was talking about electric field that how do we calculate electric field at different points for different kinds of conductors, right? Now I will tell you the same thing but with the help of Gauss's law, and you will see a marked difference in the calculation. There we had to do a long calculation. First we have to consider this triangle, then that triangle, then sine theta, cos theta and things like that. But now with the help of Gauss's law, we will just have to choose a suitable Gaussian surface. We will just choose a suitable surface and we will apply Gauss's law and we will reach the result in the spur of a moment. So now we will look at certain applications. Thank you. Please visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thank you once again.